Welcome to Geekdom Movies. This is Shannon, and these are my co-hosts, George Bogdan and Fahad Shatari. So today, we are going to talk about a movie that we should have talked about earlier, but now that it's won all the Oscar awards, we can't ignore it anymore. These two have been trying for months to get me to see it, and I finally watched it. Parasite, of course.
Yeah.
Which was the winner of every award of all of the Oscars.
4 awards.
Awards.
Let's not go crazy.
It cleaned house, though.
It hit the most important awards. But yeah, let's start with our review because I got a chance to see it in theaters.
Okay.
Like back in September, October, and I remember everybody, like my friend was like, "You got to see this. It's so original. It's crazy. Like you got to see it." And I was just like, "What is this movie?" And I guess. See, I never saw a preview for this movie. I didn't see any trailers for this movie. I literally walked in blind to see this movie. And I was absolutely, positively blown away. Because I thought it was supposed to be a scary movie where, like, it's some insect or parasite was killing you.
That's what I was expecting.
But what we got was way better. Because it's a social commentary. It's a comedy. It's a Ocean's 11 heist. It's horror. It's thriller. Gosh, it's just so wild, and it's so amazing, and it's a beautiful movie. Like the shots are great, and you start like again, if you haven't seen this movie, I would tell you to go in blind, like we did, and not even watch this review. But I'm glad you're here if you have seen the movie because I think they said the renting for Parasite has gone up 250% since the Oscars, which. Wow. Makes complete sense because I'm sure a lot of people are like, what won Best Picture? What is that? And then people are now like, renting it and trying to see it too. So, good advertisement for them. Win Best Picture, right? Yeah. And I just think this movie had no chance at the Oscars of winning, but I just was glad it was there because it was very original. And the thing about this movie that really works is this family and how smart they are, but yet you don't see them as villains. You see the family as people who are really suffering in their society, in their culture, poor versus rich. I mean, this is a universal thing that we can talk about. It's a South Korean movie, but I think it affects everyone in some way, shape, or form. Like, what would you do if you can afford to raise a family, afford food or water on the table? How far would you go? And I think the reason this movie works so well is because, like, you're kind of rooting for them. Like, what they're doing isn't right.
Right.
But at the same time, you want them to succeed because, I think just the idea, and you could have debates, and people have been having these debates, are they saying it's okay to rob people just because you're poor? I think it's so much deeper than that. I think it's so much more meaningful than just poor versus rich or things like that. I think it's saying that our society lets people leaves them behind without any help, and a lot of people around the world, not just America but around the world, really suffer and get lost in that world, and nobody's there to pick them up or take care of them. And I just think it's a very smart, intelligent movie about these people who, even though they're in the bottom of this society, they're really smart. They're like really, really smart, and the way they came up with the scheme to like work at this house and the things that they did to get those positions is just so crazy. And I'm so glad it won. It did. I really thought 1917 was gonna win because I didn't think the Oscars would ever care about a foreign movie, but because it won, I was really happy about it because it deserves it. It is a social commentary. It is so original, so well written. And I've seen this movie, I think I watched it 3 times though. Once I saw it with Sean, the other time I saw it with my other buddy, and Stephanie and I watched it after the Oscars. So I've seen it 3 times now. And there's no plot hole. Everything makes sense. Everything they're doing and saying,
that's true.
It is so well constructed. Like Knives Out. Knives Out had this tight story, but it all kind of made sense. It never left you wondering you didn't explain that part. And we were talking about that with Fantasy Island too, what makes a good movie and how they execute it compared to a bad movie. And I think Parasite is a movie that there are no good guys, there are no bad guys. There's just people. And people do horrible things and people do good things. People do things where they're, the whole idea of They have to run from the house. Now there's flooding, and their entire apartment is flooded. And this nice family living up on the top of the world, they're just like, oh, the rain is so beautiful, and I'm so glad the rain came. And like they're just like, tomorrow would be a great day for a party because of the rain. While these guys who are in the bottom of society, they're like underwater. They're suffering. They lost their home, and you see and it's like nobody's evil. There's just a disconnect between the rich and the poor, and what the reality is for both of them. And I thought that was so good. And like you think they
because this rich family is a very nice family. They're kind people. They're innocent. They're not out to get anybody.
Right, but it does show the privileged versus the non-privileged people. Right. And I think that's great because I do think we as a society need to be more aware, not just in South Korea, even though they did it perfectly by showing a movie like that, but I think everywhere people have to go like, okay, like I have to do certain things and I have to realize I'm a very lucky person that a lot of people don't have certain things. I remember in high school, and this really stuck with me. And like we were sitting at lunchtime, and we learned that a big blizzard was coming. Avondale High School, we went to the same high school, and we were gonna have a snow day. And we were like, oh man, like yeah, the snow's about to start tonight. Tomorrow's gonna be snow day. And I remember this one girl said because there was like 10, 20 of us who were just like super excited, and this one girl in our classroom went like, oh man, like that means I can't eat lunch tomorrow because the only way I can eat lunch is because the school gives it to me, so I'll go hungry. And I was just like, everybody just got super quiet. And everybody didn't know what to do. And nobody knew what to say. And that moment has like stayed with me. I even think about it to this day because this one thing, one little girl said about the distinction between something I have that she can't afford. And that was my first time really opening up to my mind. It's like, oh wow, like I'm very fortunate to be able to come home and have parents who provide a house and food on the table where most of the times like we made so much food it was going to waste. Like just a very different. And this girl's like, man, like the only time I can eat lunch is when I'm here because my mom and dad can't afford 3 meals throughout the day. We only eat dinner or something like that. And I just like this movie reminded me of that. It reminded me of so much. And I just really appreciate it, and I think it is one of the best movies to ever come out in the last 10 years or so. Very original, very thought-provoking, interesting. If you watch this movie with anyone, like, I will bet you $100 million they wouldn't be able to, like, if they've never seen this movie, they would not be able to figure out where this movie was going. If you just showed them this movie,
I had no idea.
Nobody could figure it out.
There's no indication of where it's going.
No.
Right.
It's so good.
So that's my shpee. I love this movie. You guys can go next. What you thought?
I had a little bit different perspective on it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was weird and creepy. I definitely did not see the ending coming. It was really interesting to see how people live in South Korea, South Korea. And I liked that they made this family that is this rich, wealthy, never has a care in the world family, sweet, innocent, kind people who just want the best for their kids and just want to have, they just want to live and be happy like everybody else. Because a lot of times you'll see the lower class just throwing hate at the upper class without realizing, like, they don't hate you. They're not looking down on you. They're just maybe not aware of some of the things going on. So I liked that this movie showed a kind, wealthy family. They also provided jobs for all of these people. Now, where I differ with you, well, maybe not. Maybe we don't differ on this. The thing that made me dislike the lower class family is that they could have all gotten jobs in this house without hurting the 2 existing employees.
I don't think so.
That family had so much money coming out of their ears that they didn't know what to do with, that they could have found jobs for all 6 of those people without hurting their other 2 employees. If the family had gone about this a different way, they could have found a win-win situation for everyone. But instead, they literally show now they've become middle class, and that's shown by them living in that first section of the house. So the house has 3 levels. So the upper class, which is the family that's living on the top floor, and then the middle class, which is where all the servants are serving them, and then the lower class, which are the like lowest of the low class, which is that basement, which is where they literally physically push and force the other 2 employees into the lower class in order to climb up the ladder and get into the middle class. So it's a physical representation in this house of lower, upper, and middle class.
That makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it really just showed like the bottom is really the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where like rain is bad for you because now you let just hundreds and hundreds of people lost their homes.
I think so there's a flash moment where the mom in the family sees this and then she pulls back from it, where she says, "Here's a tray of meatballs. Like they have so much food going around that they're feeding this whole party." And she goes, "Here's a tray of meatballs. Like why don't you take it downstairs to them? They probably haven't eaten in a while." So there's more than enough to go around for everyone, and she's realizing that she doesn't have to push these 2 people down, the husband and the wife down, in order for her to get her needs met. And then when the son goes down the stairs and he's taking the rock with him, there's been different interpretations on that, so I want to hear your view. Some said that he was taking it down there to kill them, and others said he was taking it down there as a peace offering.
It was a peace offering.
Okay. So this family realizes far too late in the game that they didn't have to destroy these 2 people's lives in order to get what they needed.
But at the same time, they couldn't let them out either because then the scheme would be up and both would lose.
Right. So their fault was that they started this whole scheme in the first place. They could have created jobs for themselves by providing services that the wealthy family wanted, which is what the first 2 did. So the art instructor provided a service that the mom wanted, and it's like each time they bring in a new person into the household, they get worse and worse. The first guy did it honestly. He was an English professor, or he spoke decent English. He fibbed a little bit on his resume, but he got into the house and he provided a service that this wealthy family needed. The second one, they made up. They started to kind of manipulate and use the mom's fear about her son seeing a ghost or whatever, and they kind of manipulated their way into becoming the art teacher. But they still did it fairly honestly. And then the third one was the mom, who was the servant, who they completely just made the woman sick with the peaches. And then the fourth one was where they set this whole sexual trap up for the driver of the house. So each time they created a new position, they just went lower and lower with what they were willing to do. Because the guy was all conflicted about saying that he was, gonna go to school for English teaching instead of where he got his degree. He was all conflicted about it at first, and it just kept getting worse and worse once he was willing to do that.
And I would agree that the way, I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, but I
Right.
do think in our society and all societies, eventually somebody does like, you know what, I'm just gonna sell weed if I have to survive. I will lie on my tax forms. I will do something because I am that desperate. That's the thing I like about this movie, because we can't villainize people who are in poverty, because every one of us, if we were set in that situation and had no one else to help us, it would be like life or death situation, and you would not care what laws you broke or what you did to be able to provide for your family. Now,
Yeah.
I've never lived that way. I've never ever had a moment in my life where my parents didn't provide for me. So for
Right.
me, it's very easy to just say, oh, they're just violent and they're thieves and they're, but that shows my privilege. That, what would I do? What would you do? What would any of us do if we were at the bottom and the rich or the ones that had a lot of the money didn't actually come to help and didn't even see us? They saw us as parasite, as insects, as like less than human. The way the dad smells them and talks about him, the way they talk, the way they're not bad people, you're right, but they are missing the whole point. Like when the guy goes like, hey, like, you're being paid a lot, so just do this Indian like thing for the party, and like, don't worry, you'll get paid. But like what he's hearing is that this guy doesn't see me. All he sees is the way I smell. The only thing that he and the family sees is just like what what service I can give them. They don't really care about me. They're nice. They do pleasantries and be able to talk to them. But at a certain point, they're saying, I'm putting up with you because you're giving me a service. I don't actually like you. I don't actually want to help you. And that's why I do think that picture of them like scheming to get in. Now, I'm not saying how they pushed that maid lady out and how they pushed that driver out was right. But at the same time, this is the reason the lower class is always fighting and getting into more trouble. Because if they know, if I know, like, let's say I'm poor and I don't have a lot of money, and let's say George is my neighbor or you're my neighbor and I'm suffering, but you're providing a service that I can also give, but because you have the job, my mentality is easily going to go towards, well, how can I take that job from him so I can get the same amount? Because it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's very violent. It's very survival-based, like caveman style. And I think that's beautiful that the movie portrays that so well. Because she's doing the same exact thing. She is keeping her husband locked up in the basement because she's doing the same damn scheme. She's not better or worse. She's doing the same thing. And even the driver who was driving her home, if you notice, he was trying to like hook up with her and trying to do like sexual things with her.
Yeah.
His body language, as a man, I can see. Like he was like, "Oh, where do you live? Where do you want me to drop you off at home?" You could tell he's not a genuine person. And all of them are just, and like, so you're like, okay, well, I did feel sorry for the maid when she got kicked out.
Yeah, when she walks out into the rain with like the one thing she owns in her hand, that was sad, you know.
But then she's doing the same exact thing because they've been living in the basement and
what do you mean she's doing the same thing as?
Well, you remember how they mentioned, wow, she eats like enough for 2 people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she's been they live in the bunker. She provides meals and like she is lying to them. They don't know she's living down there. And let's say you had a basement that you didn't know about,
right.
And one day you came down there and there was just a person there eating your food, using your lights, doing. You'd be like, "What the fuck? And what are you doing here?"
Right.
Yep.
So it's not like, oh well, that's why the story is so unique to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is first you're like, oh, they're just evil or they're bad. No, they're all in the same exact position in the society, and they're all just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And it sucks because they have to do certain things to survive that I would never think about.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, George, we should hear you.
Yeah, George, take it away.
Wow, I don't even know what to say anymore. They covered about everything. That movie, wow.
It's
It's one heck of a movie. But honestly, like both sides, man. I would have to say.
Did we take all your points away that we were thinking about? Oh no!
just about.
Damn it.
But the thing that I thought was interesting was at the very end. The son, after he had his brain injury and everything, he's like, you know what? He's like, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna earn this.
Yeah, that was interesting to me
Like,
too.
he's like, I am going to work my ass off.
Yeah.
And actually be able to afford this house, afford my dad, afford my mom.
And he can just come up.
Yeah.
Because they'll own the house.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about this, and Stephanie pointed this out, third time I was watching it, I never picked this up. It's like, do you remember what the dad said to his son when they were like living in that arena? Because everything was flooded and they were like this giant stadium with all the people around. And the dad says, never make a plan. Because whenever you make a plan, it's never going to work out. Take every day the way it is. And she's like, and that means this is a fantasy. This is his plan to get his dad out, to get them to be in that place, but it never happened. It's fantasy.
That's true.
Is an interesting commentary there. The fact that these people that are living in this lower class do live day to day and they don't believe that there's a way out for them, but there is a path out for them because the son could work hard and he could go to school and he could earn these things, but he doesn't believe that it's possible.
Well, we don't know what South Korea is like with education and
That's
what
true.
We can't.
But the fact that he lays out a path for it in the movie means that there's probably a possibility for that. I know
Yeah.
South Koreans are very educated. They can
South
be very
Koreans-
educated people.
Well, my friend said it best because he's South Korean,
Mm-hmm.
and he comes from Asian culture. He says these people are not allowed to go be with the rich. Society will keep them low because they feel like they're better than them. Like, think of the Gentiles in the Bible and how the Jews treated the Gentiles and said, they don't belong in God's kingdom. They're disgusting. They're poor. They're Gentiles. We're the real chosen people. That's what's happening in South Korea.
Okay.
And, like, Jesus is saying, like, no, it's for everybody. I kind of like what this movie is trying to say. It's saying that they're all human. Whether you have money, you don't have money, you have things you can give, but these guys, they have to scheme. They have talents, but they have to scheme to get ahead. They can't just go the natural path of doing just...
Who can? That's a good question, because
Yeah,
not many people can.
exactly. And even if... And some people do get pushed down in our society many times, and they will not get the opportunity. Like, you know, we had... At our church, we had this guy come talk. He lived on the street for who knows how many years, but it was after college or something, and just... and he said, once you hit low, the problem being that low is that there's nobody to help you. Because, let's say I wanted to, he said, like, simple as, like, you can get a job. You're poor, get a job. It's like, okay, I need a job.
You need an address.
You need an address.
You need
an address,
there's
right?
quite a few things.
You
that
need a
to get
license.
job, yeah.
You need clothes that don't smell. You need to have, you need a car to get
by the
there.
way, I've heard if you do need help with clothes that you can go to a dry cleaner and they will often offer you clothes that have never been picked up by the owner. So,
Oh, wow.
side note.
Interesting. But, like, you know, once you do hit low, or how we punish people if they go to jail and they get a felony, that felony, even if they get out of jail, that felony
still...
doesn't give them opportunities that most people do. And yeah, are we then saying that they don't deserve forgiveness? They haven't, if you've served the time, and I disagree with our system in this, like, let's say you did do something wrong. Well, I do expect you to go to jail. I expect you to do your diligence of what you did wrong, but when you get out and you've served your time is served. But now you can't get a job. Now you can't get out of that system where you can actually, like, do something. You have to go back to doing wrong things because that felony follows you. I mean, it is such a interesting concept in this movie about these people, and it's a people story. It's about society. It's about, like, what we do and things we forget about and how we have, you know, I mean, I do it. Shoot, like, I'll throw myself under the bus. How many times do I walk around somewhere in Detroit or somewhere and somebody asks for money and my first thought is, oh, they're going to use that money for drugs or alcohol. They're not going to actually get it for food and stuff. I go there naturally. I go there and I expect it.
And you go there because a lot of the times that's true. I'll try to give them actual physical food as opposed to
That's what
money.
I say too.
Yeah.
But it's like, but again, it's like, okay, but I don't know this person, so I shouldn't just assume either that they're just going to use it for drugs and alcohol. What if, like, his wife died and he just became depressed and lost his job and he's been living I don't know his story or her story.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming things because I think I'm better off and I matter more than this person because they're a lower of society. And I think that is, if a conversation like that can start just from watching a movie, then it does deserve Best Picture.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
You know? And as much as I loved 1917, as much as I loved Jojo Rabbit, as much as I loved Little Women, Joker's another movie about society, and like it's like the American version. Like you have Parasite, which is about South Korea's low society, and then you have something like the Joker, where the character like Joker who has mental illness can't get help, and what that does to somebody.
Yeah.
I just think that we are looking at movies. Sometimes you want to see something like, you know, Sonic or you know, Marvel movie or Pixar, but then there's other movies that actually deserve your attention and deserve, like, if a movie can make me reflect about something a girl said like when I was in school.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it
I
does
was gonna
something.
say, you don't think about anything girls say.
Yeah. Like if it can take me back and make me reflect on my own life and how I live and what it does, then I think it's just a beautiful statement, and I'm really happy. I really didn't think Hollywood would give this award to Parasite, because I just didn't think, and a lot of people sighed or cared about this movie. I saw it and I told you to see it, and I told you to see it, but like, you know, we do reviews. Like, you knew about Parasite, but what are the chances that regular people who don't do what we're doing probably know what Jojo Rabbit, Parasite, Little Woman is? Probably not many. Well, maybe Little Woman, that's pretty popular because it's a famous book. But, like, you know, these small movies do have something to say. And I think that's the reason I love what we're doing here, is because we can actually dissect and talk about movies in a way that, like, really reflects and helps people grow, educate. Not just fun action movies, but like real movies that I can be like, you gotta see Parasite. You are gonna be blown away. There's nothing like it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the other interesting points is trust. So I know you were just talking about, like, in situations where, you know, you see homeless people, you're wondering what you should give them.
Yeah.
A lot of that, I think, is based off trust. And once again, that's one of the reasons why they even had the other people working for them, was because they put their trust in one person. Then it spread out to the next person, and the next person, and the next person. Then they realized eventually that it was faulty in the first person. So they had messed up all those strings because of that. So I think basically, based off our life experiences, we have to find a way to judge and figure out what seems trustworthy.
Right.
And based off her knowledge, the mom tried to do that with these people and failed.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what it all goes back to.
And it's funny, the first one who got the job, wouldn't even have gotten that job if it wasn't for her sister making the credentials.
Yeah.
So the lie had to start that way, because he had to prove something that he's qualified. If he told the family the truth about who he really is, would they have hired him? Probably not. Let's be honest. So it's like, okay, like, I get why they had to do it, but they're also, that's the only way for them to survive. Because if he was just honest with the family, it wouldn't have happened.
And even the referral with a friend.
Exactly.
Like, that was the only reason he had an opportunity to even try to get that job.
The friend was a good person. And
well, the friend wasn't a good person.
No?
No, the friend wasn't a good person because he
his
really
only
liked
reason,
the girl.
He just wanted to hire his friend because he wanted to sleep with the girl and make her his girlfriend.
Yeah,
and he's like, "You're
right.
trustworthy. I don't want my." And he says to him, "He's like, come on, let's don't mess around. Like, the reason you want me to do this is because if they get another guy and you like her, why would he ask her? You wouldn't."
And then he immediately became girlfriend with the girl.
I mean,
well, over the course of time.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
honestly, he walked in thinking like they had a thing going, and he was gonna be. It wasn't until she said, "Oh my God, he's so annoying and creepy and like."
Wasn't
all
she
this stuff.
really young too? She was like 15,
Oh, yeah.
and the other guy was like 20s.
He's just turned 18, so it was like a 3-year difference.
Okay.
Because if you remember, he's just going to college.
Okay, yeah.
So he might still be 17 for all we know, or no. So, anyways, the point is, like, you know, like he got the opportunity not because he trusted his friend. His friend was pulling one over him to make sure that nobody else came in and started a love interest with them. You know, it just talks about, you know, how far does honesty go? Where can it actually lead us? Would you be better off lying at a certain point because of the situation you're in and where you're sitting? So, anyways, I think we should stop talking. I think we
were exhausted. There.
I think it's worth talking about.
Oh, definitely.
I think if you're watching this, I feel like you're probably thinking of the same things that we're discussing right now. What it means, is this right? Is this wrong? Is this what society is supposed to be? If it's doing that for you, then you can easily say, wow, good job, Oscars. You made the right decision. I really thought you were going to pick 1917.
Yeah.
Though I love the crap out of 1917.
It was great.
And I'm glad it
really
won
good.
sound and visual effects. So speaking of sound and visual effects for Oscars for that, and cinematography, we did if you guys go back, we did a recording for the Oscars. We did our own picks of who we thought was going to win, and we didn't get a chance to watch it together. I did get a chance to see it myself. But Shannon, you have the entire list of who won.
I do. So we're gonna go through these really quick.
Okay.
Let's see. So original screenplay nominees. We have Knives Out, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite. I thought there was one more. Let's see. Knives Out, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite.
So I think you said Knives Out. I remember that for original screenplay, and you said Once Upon a Time.
I think I did.
I thought
You said Once Upon
I
a-
thought I had said Parasite
Did you?
for that one.
Okay.
I think that was one where I actually...
Agreed with Parasite on that one?
yeah.
Okay.
Because it was
so I
so
know you
original.
said Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
If I had seen Parasite, I might have gone with Parasite.
I think...
Because it was so original.
Maybe I said Knives Out. I don't remember. But for me, it was definitely not Parasite.
No, you didn't think
I
it would
don't
win?
think I said that at all for this one. But I'm glad it won. It is very original, as we were just talking about
Yeah.
our review. I mean, it is a movie nothing like it. Now, that also tells you how amazing this list is, because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Knives Out had such an amazing screenplay.
Any of these could have won, honestly.
Yeah,
I
but
really
I
love
think,
Knives Out.
but I think the Oscars chose the right one. It should have been Parasite.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we got next?
Adapted screenplay nominees. So we have The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, and Two Popes. The winner was Jojo Rabbit.
Which I think you were the one to say.
I did.
Yeah.
You said
I called that
JoJo,
one.
and I think I said JoJo too.
And I think I said
He
Joker.
might have been.
And you said Joker. Okay. So what
Jojo
did you guys?
Rabbit was a book.
Yeah. And I heard it's nothing like
That does not surprise me.
it's way more darker and way more serious, apparently.
I
as hear.
I could have gone either way, Little Women or Jojo Rabbit, but I think it had to be one of those two.
I think you said Little Women for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think you
might
did.
have.
Yeah, I think I said Jojo Rabbit. I remember.
One of us did.
Yeah, what did you said Joker? You think? So what do you
Yeah,
think
I
of?
think it
What do you guys think of Jojo Rabbit winning for adapted screenplay?
It deserves
good.
it totally. The Taika Waititi is amazing. I want to see what he does in the future. He's almost like a Wes Anderson type.
100%.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that.
yeah, and I love Wes Anderson, who has a new movie coming out.
Did you
soon
see it? The
called
French-
Dispatch.
Did you see the trailer?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
We have to talk about it for a second because it has Saoirse Ronan and
Timothy Olyphant.
Chalamet.
Okay, let's not derail,
Chalamet
but
or
we
none
will
of that.
we will
Tim
do.
Allen?
No,
No,
Timothy Olyphant. He was in
Elephant.
He's the boy that every girl likes in Little Women. He's in it too.
He was Joe and Laurie. He was Laurie
Oh,
in Little Women.
He's in. Yeah.
They were also in Lady Bird together.
never seen it.
Honestly, I wish the Irishman won because it's so accurate to the book. So I'm kind of disappointed Jojo Rabbit won because it's nothing like the book. But maybe that's the reason it won because they took an adapted
Yeah.
story and made it completely different.
Literally any of these could have been the one.
Yeah. So I would say okay, yeah, sure. But I would have preferred Irishman. What about you?
Well, this one's no big surprise. Achievement. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think it was Joker.
So are you sad that Joker didn't win, or were you kind of like, no, this is
I
good
didn't
too?
really care
Okay.
who won that one.
Okay.
This one's no big surprise. Achievement in visual effects.
No, say the list. Say the list first.
I'm going to.
Okay.
Achievement in visual effects.
Okay.
Avengers Endgame, The Irishman, Lion King, 1917, and Star Wars. The winner was, of course, 1917.
Which I said.
You did.
And Shannon said The Lion King, and you said Star Wars, actually.
I said Star Wars? I thought that was for soundtrack. I thought that, sound effects. Sound effects, I said Star Wars.
Oh, really?
For,
Star Wars.
for visual effects, I said Lion King.
I did not think that 1917 was going to win in visual effects because it was mostly just like a battlefield.
Yeah.
But once you guys explained about the buildings that they made and everything, yeah, it made more
The
sense.
CGI is so realistic, you forget. Unless
I
somebody.
didn't even realize there was CGI.
Yeah, that's how
I
good
didn't
it
know
is.
there was any CGI.
Like Irishman, I can tell when it's CGI. When I was watching
I
1917,
didn't know there was any.
I didn't know it had
when he
CGI.
was running through the pillars in Germany with the flare, there was like 2 pillars that they just put down,
Really?
and he's running through a blue screen.
Oh, I had no idea.
I
I thought
did
that
not
was
know
all
that.
practical.
Or the bridge scene, like where he's like climbing the bridge and there's a river. There's no river. There's no
Really?
buildings. The only thing that's real is that fence and like a blue screen. There's not even a river.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it
I
was.
didn't know
That is
that either.
shocking.
Wow.
But that's why I think it won. Is because
Yeah.
it did so well. Unless somebody told you these are visual effects, you would have no clue.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, I kind of wish it would have been Endgame, but I knew it wasn't going to because I think I think Black Panther and Infinity War already got Oscars for that.
I'm gonna be honest though. I think the best in regards to actual visual effects was probably Lion King, just because.
Yeah,
I think I remember one of you saying Lion King.
I said Lion King, I think, because there's
was
never been a
entirely-
movie like
No,
that.
it was.
It was
It just
honestly
wasn't a
it
good
was
movie.
even more amazing than Avatar in just
Yeah,
visuals.
You're right.
Even
Yeah,
though
that's true.
Avatar was like the first
The best.
3D, groundbreaking.
Okay.
And I don't get me wrong, I like Avatar way more than Lion
yeah.
King, but I still think that Lion King should have had it for.
No, with
that.
photorealism, it is uncanny valley of like
Oh yeah.
it looks like you're watching a National Geographic of Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The animals didn't talk, so for sure.
Except there's not as much dust. No.
That's probably true because there's no dust. It's just all green screen.
Yeah.
Achievement in sound mixing nominees were Ad Astra, Ford vs. Ferrari, Joker, 1917, and Once Upon a Time.
So I said Ford versus Ferrari for that,
I did too.
and so I'm like,
What did I pick? I must
I
have
think
picked
you said Ad
something else.
Astra.
Ad Astra.
I think you did.
How did I pick Ad Astra? I don't think I picked it. Wait, what was it again?
Sound mixing?
Yeah, sound
Nominees.
mixing. What other?
Ad Astra, Ford vs. Ferrari, Joker, 1917, and Once Upon a
I
Time.
think you said Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Maybe I did.
What?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I know
surprised that Star Wars wasn't on that list.
I really thought it should have gone to Ford versus Ferrari because
Yeah.
racing on screen is so freaking boring, and the way it was like the first movie I saw about racing that seems so realistic to me. So yeah, but 1917, I mean, it's winning the right awards. I think 1917 really is winning. It is just
Yeah.
technical stuff. Like 1917 is not a mind-blowing story. What they did visually and how they filmed and made the sound is groundbreaking. So I feel like they are winning the right categories, if that makes sense. So what do you got next?
Achievement in sound editing.
Oh, there we go.
nominees.
There we go.
Ford vs. Ferrari, Joker, 1917, Once Upon a Time, Star Wars.
So this is the one,
That's
Ford
where I
versus
picked.
Ferrari. I wonder what the difference between sound editing and sound mixing is. Because I don't actually know.
Sound editing, I believe that's where you're making sounds, whereas sound mixing is more so just taking recordings.
Mixing them into the movie.
Yes.
That sounds right.
That makes sense.
In
So
which
this
case-
might
this
be
was
the
the one where I picked
said
Star Wars.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would have said Star Wars for this one too.
I think I said 1917.
It was Ford versus Ferrari.
Or maybe I said Ford versus Ferrari. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
I was like, it
deserves
needs to
Wow.
win some sound thing, so it makes sense to me.
Not sure why Joker would have gotten it,
Yeah.
but
I don't know why it was nominated. It makes no sense.
I mean, the music was really good in Joker with the soundtrack, which it won for. So never mind. I don't know. I guess that's not sound mixing. Okay, we can skip the next one, which is the best live short action film. None of us saw it, but the winner was The Neighbor's Window. Sorry.
no, we did
Was
see.
that the one? That's the one I picked.
Oh, really?
Because you like the name.
Yes.
I think you did.
I
pick
did
it.
pick
Just-
the
you
neighbor's
said-
window. I'm like, that sounds so interesting.
I'm just.
Your
I
sentence,
didn't
it
want to
reminded you
judge
of
because
Hitchcock,
I think it's wrong
Rear
for me
Window.
to judge if I hadn't seen the movies, and that's why I was just like, I don't have a.
You called it just by the name.
Just call that the best animated short.
You
Which,
guys called the best animated short.
Yeah.
it's the only one I
It's the
saw,
only
and it
one
was
that we
before
saw.
Abominable,
Hair Love was,
which was great.
really great.
Yeah, about a little girl with black hair, and the father's trying to figure out how to do her hair, but he's
Yeah.
Italian.
I did see that one.
That was with
It was
Abominable.
before.
Oh my gosh.
Abominable, yeah.
With the mom that had no hair.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
'cause she had cancer.
Oh
right?
my gosh.
Yeah.
I have seen that. Had I known that was the one you guys were talking about, I would have. Oh.
I think
Yeah.
I picked that just because it's the only one I saw. So.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
probably.
great, though. It deserved the
I might
award
have
for
seen
sure.
a couple others, but that's. Yeah, I had no clue.
Achievement in production design. The nominees were The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Once Upon a Time, and Parasite. The
Once Upon a
winner-
Time in Parasite?
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Parasite.
And Parasite. The winner was Once Upon a Time
Mm-hmm.
for
Which
production design.
Makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I think I said
the reason there's 45 minutes of Brad Pitt driving is because they spent so much money making Hollywood look like
Amazing.
1960s Hollywood, you
Yeah,
had to.
I remember for this one you picked Jojo Rabbit, and I think you and
you
me
guys
picked.
jumped down my throat about it.
Yes. What we did. We picked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, because the whole movie is just Brad
just-
Pitt
yeah.
driving through 1960s. Just the costumes and the posters of movies
Yeah,
and
it was
the clothes
pretty cool.
and the cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I think either. I mean, like Parasite and 1917, Jojo Rabbit, Irishman all had great set designs too, but Once Upon a Time really deserved it. All right, what do you got next?
All right, we've got
Is this the big
Best
one?
Motion Picture of the Year nominees.
Yeah, you're saying it.
We've got Ford vs. Ferrari, Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Woman, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and of course the winner was Parasite.
Parasite.
Oh, and 1917.
So I said 1917 because I really didn't think how the award seasons were going.
I didn't think it was
That
a
they were
winner.
gonna give.
I didn't
I mean,
think they had a chance.
I thought Parasite was for sure gonna win the best international film, but this was a shock. Like even people in the audience were like, "What just happened?" Like it was
Yeah.
an underdog story of like South Korean movie, not even in English, a movie not even made in America or in Hollywood, won Best Picture. It was insane.
And it
I
was-
agree. I agree with
it. It was so good.
Yeah.
It deserved it. I think I said Little Woman for this one, but I can't
think you
remember.
did.
Yeah.
You said
Or was it Jojo Rabbit?
no. I think you
think
did
I
say
did say
Little
Little
Women,
Women.
and then I think you said that Marriage Story and Jojo Rabbit were right behind it.
Yeah.
And for me, which one did I picked Joker.
None of you
think I
said
picked
1970.
Joker.
Oh, you said 1970.
Oh, I said 1970 because that's where the Golden Globes and all the other awards were going. So I was like, well, it's kind of locked. So I like when there can be some, yeah. So
Oh, well, you definitely called the next one, Fahad.
yeah, I
You
did.
did.
Achievement in music written for original motion pictures. Original songs.
Yeah.
I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away from Toy Story 4. I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man. Into the Unknown from Frozen. I'm Standing With You from Breakthrough. I didn't even hear about that movie. Stand Up from Harriet. And that is it. And the winner was I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man.
I mean, they were gonna give it to Elton John. He's like in
Yeah.
his 70s. He has pneumonia right now. Probably has only a few years to live. And the movie was.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, I'm just being honest. The guy's
You
dying.
make it sound so sad though.
I mean, this is kind of like okay. It's
You're making it
Elton
sound-
John.
Yeah.
Did he write any new songs for Lion King?
I think Beyonce did. She was the only one that had the
Beyonce
original.
did, yeah, that's
And it was
right.
like the gospel sound looking music too. It was
Yeah.
weird.
Oh man.
And it was
Very-
terrible.
Did not fit the movie at all.
No.
didn't.
But I think I'm glad Elton John won and his original, lyricist from the 70s.
Oh, this makes-
It was the right choice for sure. I think you said Toy Story 4 or Unknown maybe Into the Unknown. I can't
Oh,
remember.
Into the
I
Unknown. We
said
both
Into
picked
the
Into the
Unknown.
Unknown.
You both picked Into the Unknown.
Yeah.
I thought it should have won it.
I think
I never
the
watched
original
Rocket
Elsa
Man.
song "Let It Go" was just so. I mean, that did win the Oscar, so
Yeah.
I know. Like when I heard "Into the Unknown," I'm like, not as good as "Let It Go." "Let It Go" was like
Good though.
original. All right, what do we got next?
All right. Achievement in music written for motion pictures. We have Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, and Rise of the Skywalker.
I think the right person won. First woman to win, achievement in music in the history of the Oscars, and there was Helder. I can't say her name, but she won for Joker. She did the.
Is that Russian?
No, she's German.
German.
She's German.
Huh.
She's the first woman to ever win in that category ever in history
Interesting.
of the Oscars,
Wow.
and it was that. And I may not like the Oscars that much, but that music is haunting. The music in Joker is
It is.
haunting and beautiful.
I think that I said 1917.
You
I
might
did
have.
too. I
I-
did
I-
too.
See, I don't remember any of the music from Joker.
I think one of you
I
said
didn't
Star
know.
Wars for original music, John Williams. I thought so,
I might have.
but John Williams already
I
won
think
for
I might
Star
have
Wars.
teased around
Yeah.
about
So-
that,
Thomas Newman's one of my all-time favorites.
Okay, what do we got next?
Achievement in makeup.
I
and
called that.
hairstyling
Called
nominees.
that.
we both did.
I was like, That's gonna be Bombshell.
My goodness.
Yep, you called that one.
That
Well,
what were the
funny.
nominees?
You did say Judy might win it.
I said Judy might win it, but
But you
I
thought
mean,
Bombshell.
I was creeped
Yeah.
out that half the movie I forgot that was Charlize Theron, and I was just
Yeah.
looking at Megyn Kelly, and then I was like, "Whoa, what
They
the hell?"
did a killer job with the makeup in that.
I don't even know what that is. It's not even makeup, but
Is it
her-
CGI?
I think it's a
I
mix
know
of
it's
makeup and CGI. Yeah,
I wouldn't have won the category if it was also CGI, would it?
yeah. I mean, they did the hair and they did certain things too,
Okay.
so it was a mix of CGI and hair. But yeah, I call that. I was like, "There's no way Bombshell is not winning."
Huh.
Though I do think, yeah, that was easy win for me. What did you guys say?
I definitely said Bombshell. I
Okay.
remember that. 'Cause
You-
I'm like, because it's about makeup.
Right.
That's why I called it.
Yeah.
I think I said Judy would win for that one,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
All right,
we
what's
were
next?
talking about 1917 because of all the blood.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
All right, best international feature film of the year. We all know who won this one.
Parasite.
And I think
This
we all
is
called it too.
The first,
Yeah.
yeah. Because this is the category that I was like, Parasite's gonna just
Blow
win.
everything
blow
I
out.
haven't
And
even heard of any of the other ones on this.
I haven't
list.
either, but this is the first movie to win Best International Film and Best Picture. That has never happened. Best Director, Best Screenplay. He has now tied the record for winning the most Oscars 1-9. Bong Joon-ho, who wrote and directed Parasite, he won it for Best Picture, so he has one Oscar there. He won it for Best Screenplay, his Oscar.
We haven't gotten some
Yeah,
of
but
these other categories.
just let
yet.
me finish this
Okay.
thought because I will not talk about it again. I'll forget. Guess who he tied with the most Oscars one person can win in 1 year? Walt Disney.
No, you're kidding.
Walt Disney is the only other person to win 4 Oscars,
Wow.
like
And that's
ever.
probably across 3 or 4 movies.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever done that. Somebody's won Best Director, but nobody wins more than 1 Oscar. This dude won 4 Oscars. He was like carrying
Deserves
4 Oscars.
Every one of them.
No, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to say that. But yeah, okay. I don't know any of the other movies, so I'm not even gonna pretend like.
They're
I
not
just
even
have
worth
Parasite.
mentioning. Achievement in film editing nominees: Ford vs. Ferrari, Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, and Parasite. The winner: Ford vs. Ferrari.
I think I said Irishman or Ford versus Ferrari only because the Irishman had to jump through different times when they were younger, older, present.
Yeah.
And I think I also mentioned Ford versus Ferrari just because they had to go from the pit of the car with Christian Bale racing to Matt Damon, who was doing his own thing, trying to get them to win the race, and like it was happening but like the editing in film to go from the car racing to the pit to the like the CEO of Ford and Lamborghini or Ferrari or whatever, like it was just a lot was happening. So I really did think Ford versus Ferrari or Irishman really deserved that to incorporate those
I
things.
don't know what I said for this one.
Me neither.
I think I did say Ford versus Ferrari, and but I also mentioned Irishman, so I don't know. Anyways, yeah, go Ford versus Ferrari. Detroit.
Documentaries, we can skip those. No one has seen any of them.
Learning to skateboard in a war zone. I really liked her speech about this white girl who went to Afghanistan before September 11th, and then after September 11th, and she's been living in Afghanistan,
Yikes.
teaching girls the whole time. And her speech was beautiful. She said like she's like I go and I talk to these girls and I talk to these people in the villages of wherever she was at in Afghanistan, and these people are just really nice people. They're not terrorists or anything.
Right, yeah.
She just had a beautiful speech, and she's like, I'm glad she won. I haven't seen the movie, I just liked her speech.
Okay. Achievement in directing nominees was
Of course.
The Irishman, Joker, 17, Once Upon a Time, and of course the winner is Parasite.
Wait, where are you at? This is the feature for Best Documentary Feature.
Uh,
Did you skip it?
we can go back to that one, I guess. I went to Achievement in Directing nominees.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Best Documentary Feature because people have been talking about it.
Okay,
That's
go
Obama's
ahead.
movie. Michelle and
Which one?
Barack.
American Factory?
American Factory was produced by Michelle and Barack Obama.
Oh.
It was crazy. It's about the factories in China and America and how the factories and how they hurt the economy and how they help the economy and about these workers who are working. Like how America has like people in America are suffering who work in these factories, but in China they're working longer and longer hours, and it was just weird because like apparently Barack and Michelle Obama produced it, so yeah.
Well,
I would have thought it would have been the edge of democracy.
Doesn't that just mean they paid a bunch of money?
Yeah, they produced it. Producers are people who give you the money to go make a movie. That's
about it.
Yeah, like I mean, I think like
Yeah.
obviously Michelle and Barack Obama wanted to give money to make this movie for a reason. I guess they felt the need that it should be told, and
That's
you
good.
know, yeah.
Good for them. All right. So achievement in directing nominees. Going back to that one, Parasite was the winner. We had Irishman, Joker, 1917, and Once Upon a Time were all also nominated.
Yeah, I'm happy Parasite won and Bong Joon-ho won, but I really think Sam Mendes got screwed because 1917
It was one shot.
is his vision and directing.
Yeah,
Yeah, like best
He
cinematography.
picked the wrong year.
No, he really did.
He really picked the wrong year.
Any other year,
I really-
17 would have won.
I mean,
Yeah.
but also at the same time, you can't blame them for giving it to Bong Joon-ho because Parasite was
It was amazing.
insane directing also on just that story. So I just think, oh man, I just like when they announced that best director Bong Joon-ho, like people were just like looking at Sam Mendes like, oh dude, you wrote a story about your grandfather.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, like you know, yeah. I mean, like I think he's got a long way to go. I'm sure he'll win in some. He'll make another movie. I'm sure he'll win.
He'll be like, I gotta make a comeback.
I mean, yeah.
He's like, this one will be about my dad.
What do we got next?
Achievement in costume design. I called this one.
Everybody called that. That entire movie is costume.
Yeah.
But keep going.
Little Women won that one. Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, and Once Upon a Time were also nominated.
Yeah, I think the costumes in Little
All of them
Women,
were gorgeous.
They were amazing.
from the mom to the dancing to the the girls in school, the girls at work, the girls at the wedding, the girls at the beach, the girls at the
party.
the girls at the party,
Oh
the
my
girls
goodness,
in
those
Paris,
dresses,
the
wow.
girls at the park, the girls, the girls at a funeral.
They did a whole lot of costumes.
Oh my goodness!
A couple of the guys' suits were pretty good too.
I mean, Timothy
Yeah.
Elephant, like, had some badass
Cleans
looking
up
clothes,
nice.
you know?
Yeah.
No, he's a good looking guy. He's a good looking
He's
fella.
a good looking kid.
Yeah.
How old is he? He's like 18 years old.
I think he's 22, 23.
Oh, okay.
He just has that baby face still
He
going
does.
for him.
Yeah.
It's like George. I thought he couldn't drink when I first met him. He's like,
I know. I did.
dude,
I
I'm
was
22. I can order a beer.
I was
I'm
like, I
"Wait,
don't know if I want to drink in front of George. I think he's like 19, and he's.
It's like, I'm not that young, you
Dude,
guys.
I've been drinking for years.
Yeah, but anyways, long story short, I think I would have been happy with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Irishman because there were historical pieces too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Little Women just went a little bit further when it comes to costume because they had to dress those girls up for so many scenes and sequences and events those girls were going to and part of.
And they were
one that was
trying
like
to-
Christmas, one it was like.
And they were trying to basically split it up across a few years.
Oh my gosh!
With just short scenes for like they were trying to tell a long story really fast.
Yeah.
So they all had to be different. And it was amazing.
Greta Gerwig, who's the writer director of Little Women, said the chick from Harry Potter. I don't know her name. Or Hermione Granger. What's the actress's name?
She was
Emma.
Meg in the movie. What was her name? Emma Watson.
She got so frustrated because it took her hours to get into that costume
Oh god.
that she actually left one of the nights, and she was so angry because she just couldn't take it anymore. So she just walked off the stage at one point.
That's why you do Velcro on costumes. Everybody knows that. It's a costume designer. So that you can rip it on and rip it
But
off.
that's the thing. Greta made them wear the authentic time period
Oh, gosh.
exactly the way it was.
Yeah.
They could not, the hats, the necklace, the clothes, the dresses, everything
It looked
took
Must
hours.
have taken forever, yeah.
Yeah, like they said, like most of our time was just putting on clothes than it
Yeah.
was filming. Like if we shot for 4 hours, it took like 6 hours, and then you had to stop in the middle because if the feather moved or the necklace didn't look right, it was. I'm like,
That's
when
what
I
people
watched
did
that, I was
back
like,
before
Little
these-
Woman deserves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wins that by a mile and a half because
And I'm
even when
happy
I was
that it
watching
did.
with it because it is it's funny I finally saw a review for the spoiler review and
Oh.
you're like it's you kept calling it like porn What did you call it?
No, I called it architecture porn.
You said history porn.
Time period porn.
Time period porn. And I was just dying
You were
because
like, stop with the porn already.
But I think the reason, but like you were right though, because every single scene is like watching Boston from the 1800s.
Yes.
Like
It's
in your
amazing.
face, and you're not doubting anything. You're
No,
like,
it all
there's that
feels
village,
like it's real.
that's that house, that's that town, and that's that's Paris.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, what's our next one?
Achievement in cinematography
Easily.
nominees. Irishman, Joker, Lighthouse, 1917, Once Upon a Time.
Easily 1917
Easily.
cinematography.
No contest.
Followed shortly
There's
by
one-
the lighthouse.
The camera's
Follow
going
closely by
in
Lighthouse.
to a
Yeah.
building. The camera's like that shot. I rewatched it because they just finally put on HBO the making of it.
Oh, nice.
The shot is like he's in the little bunker talking to Benedict Cumberbatch or one of the not him, just like some officer, and he's trying to get there. He's like, you can't do that. Like all the generals are standing with him. It's like we're about to like release the forces onto the field, and he's like, I have to stop this. I have orders. But that scene goes from the bunker, trenches, then the camera, same camera, moves up into the sky,
Yeah.
and then all the forces are running and like explosions of cannon, and now he's running straight like this, falling down, hitting somebody, getting back up, running. That's one single shot of a camera going from inside the bunker to the trenches to the field and then to the war scene of like people running.
That's
like
crazy.
that alone absolutely deserved best like cinematography.
Absolutely. It was great.
It's like cinematography porn. It's just like
Eye
you could-
candy.
like I'll buy that movie and I'll just mute it and I'll just watch
Yeah.
it, just like to watch the scenes, you know.
I'd
Right.
probably prefer watching it muted because it's pretty loud.
And the same with Little Women. You could mute it and watch it.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
Best animated feature film of the year. This one, I'm
You
actually
called
pretty
it, I thought.
surprised. Somebody called it, but I'm surprised by
I thought
it.
you did.
Maybe. How to Train Your Dragon, Hidden World.
I did actually.
I Lost My Body, Klaus, Missing Link. And the winner was Toy Story 4.
So I think
think
one
I
of
thought
us
that one
both said
too.
Klaus deserves it because Klaus was so original, but
You did.
I was like, they're gonna give it. They're
You
gonna give it
did.
to Toy Story 4.
You did.
Well-
I know for sure I said Toy Story 4. But
I said that Toy Story 4 deserves it because of that one scene where Bonnie, Bo Peep and Woody are in the rain together. That blew me away.
Yeah.
But that's
In
the only
beginning.
that's the only scene that I thought was groundbreaking.
No, I rewatched our Toy Story 4 in-depth review,
Uh-huh.
and we talked a lot about, like,
How
how
good the
deep it was.
yeah.
There were a lot of really
Rewatch
deep
our
things
Toy
in
Story
it.
4 review.
Okay.
Like it's deeper. First of all, I don't think it's deeper. I guess that's the wrong word. But the movie is astonishingly, like, deep story.
It is. It definitely was a deeper story, but I don't know what are they judging it as a whole movie or by the animation or
It's a mix of the whole
Everything.
movie and everything. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
quality of overall.
I
But
guess it probably does deserve
I think
it.
the reason it hit so many like emotional notes was about these toys that we grew up with, who are now realizing they've
Yeah.
past their time because with Andy's old, the girl doesn't appreciate the toys because she shouldn't. She's a completely different character, and Woody's like, I'm trying so hard to like get Bonnie, but what I'm trying to do is bring Andy back.
Right.
That scene killed me.
Yeah, it was sad.
And he's like, I have to go. I'm not the same toy.
It was a movie about empty nesting parents.
I know.
It was.
And it was just so. And it was last movie with Tim Allen. I mean, sorry, not Tim Allen. With Tom Hanks as Woody, and the next Toy Story 5. So this was his send off, and what a beautiful send off where he goes on this adventure with Bo Peep in this town where he's being welcomed again, and he knows he can't be with the original toys anymore. And like it did affect me, and then that's the reason when we did talk about it in depth, I was like, that's gonna kill me, because Toy Story was when I was in 7th grade is when it came out. Probably younger for you, but
The
I'm
first
sure
Toy
you-
Story?
when the first Toy Story was 1995. So wait, no, I was in 4th grade.
1995.
No, I think it was 1990.
No.
1992 or something like that.
No, it was the
It was earlier than
number
that.
one film in 1995,
Toy Story
okay.
release.
and
year.
yeah, that was the year I was born. So
Yeah,
so I wouldn't
November
remember
22nd, 1995. So I was in 5th grade.
All right.
But
Yeah,
like
I
the-
was 5 years old.
this movie has actually, I realized this, this movie has literally grown up just like I have.
Was born.
That's when you were born?
Oh yeah.
No, I was born like a couple months before.
Oh, really?
Okay, so you're a little younger than Andy, but we are the exact same age as
Yeah,
Andy.
yeah. Because every Toy Story has been a different part. Toy Story 3 was like right after I got, like, when I was leaving college. And Toy
me
Story
too.
4 is when we're out of college. And like, these toys don't, like, it hit, like, that's the reason I think it won Best Animated Film, because these movies actually follow your generation.
Yeah.
They really do.
They do.
And I don't know if that's going to keep happening. I think Toy Story 5 is going to be something.
I'm calling it right now. Toy Story 5 is going to be about grandkids. How you can find joy again with grandkids. And I bet Andy's going to have a kid and the toys will find their way back to him. I guarantee it. That's the only logical
That ruins the
step.
ending for Toy Story, because that's such a beautiful ending for Woody with the Bo Peep.
No, I don't think it ruins it, because this is the logical progression that the parents have to go through.
Okay.
They're going to be empty nesting, they have to let go of their adult children, but then they're going to have grandchildren at some point, and then they get to find joy in children again from their grandkids. And I guarantee you Andy's going to have a kid in Toy Story 5, and that's where the toys are going to end up. Guarantee it.
But Shannon,
Calling it right now.
Shannon, who brings the rain in Africa?
What?
You're really random.
my God.
I just threw you a curveball. It meant nothing. I just wanted to say something.
Did you guys see the meme that was like, Marie Kondo and Toy Story taught me the exact opposite lessons?
No, but that sounds amazing.
Oh, so
man,
funny.
Maury, haven't seen that garbage show since.
No, Marie Kondo.
Oh, I thought you said Murray, like
No.
like Jerry Springer. I'm like, oh
No,
god.
Marie Kondo, the one who tells you to get rid of all your crap in your house.
Oh,
And Toy Story.
Netflix. Yeah.
Marie Kondo tells you to get rid of everything that doesn't bring you joy. And then Toy Story is like, if you forget about your toy, you're a bad person and you should get your toy back out from under the bed.
But she says something that doesn't bring you joy. So if those memorabilia toys do bring you joy, then she would agree.
Well, remember Jessie was no longer bringing joy to the teenage girl, and the teenage girl shoved the doll under her bed and forgot about it? That's why the joke was so funny.
Interesting.
Like, Marie Kondo and Toy Story 4 taught me the exact opposite lessons.
Alright, what do we got next?
Okay, so we have performance by an actress in a supporting role nominees.
Okay.
Why isn't
You
it
called
just
it.
best supporting
I did?
actress?
And remember, at least Shannon did.
Oh yeah,
I said Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit.
What did I say?
I thought you had said. Oh no, you're right. Fahad, you're right.
I said
you
Laura
did
Dern.
it.
What did I say? I don't
Yeah.
know. I
Laura
lost the
Dern?
list. I'm
Laura
sorry.
Dern
So
in
the
Marriage
list-
Story.
So the list is Kathy Bates in Richard Jewell, Laura Dern in Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson in Jojo Rabbit, Florence Pugh in Little Women, and Margot Robbie in Bombshell.
I said Scarlett Johansson has had a phenomenal year, but she's not gonna win it. But I did think Laura Dern as this weird like divorce lawyer, and I really thought Laura Dern was gonna kill that role, and she did.
She did not stick out to me in that movie.
Oh, like her little story about like Jesus and God and how God abandons Jesus. Like even God abandoned their child. Like that is the reason meant. Like she had this long
I don't
weird
even remember that.
spiel in Marriage Story. Yeah, like
Wow.
like because Scarlett Johansson goes like, like I feel guilty for making him go through this. Adam Driver's character and her ex-husband. She's like, you don't have to feel guilty. For generations, women have had to watch men leave, abandoning their child. It wasn't until recent did we ask and demand them to where the government was like, you have to pay to you
You
pay.
have to take care of your kids.
Yeah.
Child support.
It's like, and she had this, and she even said like, men are so bad at taking care of children. Even God abandoned Jesus, and he was raised by a woman. And father, where was he? Nowhere to be found.
That's not
Wow.
true. Joseph was there.
Wow.
That's crazy.
No, she's talking about God the Father.
God the Father.
Was not around to raise his son. It was Mary who had to raise Jesus. And her little spiel, like me and Stephanie just like turned around and just looked at each other. It's like, oh my God, did she just say that? It's such a
Weird off the wall.
That
thing to
is
say.
that is.
I mean,
wild.
like you can't even disagree with it. Not that that's
No.
what God did, but the
But you
way
can't-
she
yeah.
the way she tells
man.
it is, it's like Mary had to raise Jesus, and where was God the Father? Up in this chair in heaven, looking down, telling Mary to take care of the child. Please, she has the best speech in Marriage Story. Watch it again because it's so good and disturbing, but also really good.
Oh man, yeah.
Wow.
I really thought Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit should have won this one, or Florence Pugh and Little Women. They were both excellent.
I think Scarlett Johansson breaking down an Endgame when she learns that Hawkeye is just going around murdering people because he lost his family, and she just bursts into tears and she sees all the Avengers as a family. Like I didn't have a family, but now I do. Mm-hmm. She had so many emotional moments in every Jojo Rabbit.
She's so good.
Yeah. Marriage Story, and freaking like a Marvel movie. She had like one of the best scenes outside of Robert Downey Jr.
Is that the one where Cap walks in on her?
Yeah, that's the
that
one.
Was the scene. That was a good scene.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, okay.
Well, I think you called this one Fahad, performance by an actress in a leading role.
I said that right when we got out of Judy. I'm like, Renee Zellweger has that locked in key, sealed away, just waiting for that paper to pick up and say. She was so heartbreaking, and half that movie where we were watching Judy, I really thought I was just seeing Judy Garland.
Yeah, it did look a lot like her. It sounded a lot like her.
Oh my goodness, she was so freaking good. Like, if she hadn't won Best Actress, I would have been pissed.
Right.
Like, I love Saoirse Ronan in Little Women and Charlize Theron and Scarlett Johansson in Marriage Story, but Renee Zellweger went so much above and beyond than any of those actresses, in my opinion.
I really wanted Saoirse to win this one. But,
she's still young.
But I enjoyed her performance more. But Renee definitely deserved it.
Renee's in a better movie. She just does a better job of telling that tale.
Yeah.
Of the movie isn't as good.
No.
But she is.
Yeah.
She is good. Yeah.
She was amazing in that.
So what do we got next?
Performance by an actor in a supporting role nominees. Why don't they just call it supporting actor? Well, Tom Hanks, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Anthony Hopkins, Two Popes. Al Pacino in The Irishman. Joe Pesci in The Irishman. And Brad Pitt, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I said it then, and I said it now.
He was great.
Brad Pitt
was amazing. He was so amazing.
I rewatched that scene where he picks up that girl, and she's like, "Do you want me to give you a blowjob?"
Oh,
and all this stuff is like, "Listen, girl, I have not gone to
Where's
jail.
Where's your ID?
Yeah, it's like, and you are definitely not going to be the reason that I go to prison.
Right.
It's like, because he's talking about his wife and like how he killed her accidentally on the boat, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I haven't gone to jail yet, and you're definitely not going to be the reason I go to jail today.
Oh, that's right. I did not even realize that he was talking about his wife at that
It's
moment.
like, you want, like, man, I don't know if I like him, but he does things that you really like. Like, he's very protective of Leonardo DiCaprio's car.
Yeah.
He's like,
oh, yeah.
That's not my car. Fix it. And he, like, punches him. And he's like, nose is bleeding, and he just makes him... And then, like, he goes into that town, and he's like, my friend lives in that house. He's like, listen, lady, either I'm walking in with your permission, or I'm breaking down this door. It's up to you. Mm-hmm. And he goes in and he checks on him to make sure like he's not being abused or like, you know.
Yeah.
And just Brad Pitt and just like his acid trip. Oh my gosh.
That was so
what's your name again? Satan? No, it was much stupider than that.
That was so much.
You can call me Satan. It's like, no.
His acid trip with the dog was crazy.
Oh my god!
That was so funny, and he's over there, he's like, stay.
Oh.
Oh.
The funniest part is when like they come and they rescue him, he thought it was just having an acid trip. He didn't even realize he was actually doing...
he was like, hey boys, want a beer?
Yeah.
So good.
So yeah, Brad Pitt winning that one. And he has so many great scenes. The fight with Bruce Lee character.
Oh yeah, the fight was funny. He's the perfect best friend that everybody wants.
Yeah.
Performance by an actor in a leading role. Nominees were Antonio Banderas in Pain and Glory, Leo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver in Marriage Story, Joaquin Phoenix in Joker, and Jonathan Pryce in Two Popes.
Where's Adam Driver in Star Wars? No,
So I actually said Adam Driver. Like, I wish Adam Driver could win this because that like fight between him and Scarlett Johansson,
really
where everything
good.
is bubbling up,
Yeah.
and it's just like pure rage and like all the frustration,
Yeah.
and they're just like finally able to tell the truth to one another. Like, Adam Driver broke me. Like, he broke me in that scene.
Yeah.
Where it's like, there are days when I wish you were dead.
And then he breaks down crying and,
And then
just
they're
apologizes.
just- yeah.
She's
And
like, yeah, I get it. And
it's so good. Now, I do think if it wasn't for Joaquin Phoenix as Joker, he probably would have won.
Really?
Because I don't see anybody else that is as good as Adam Driver and Joaquin
That's
Phoenix
true.
on the list. Now,
But
I love
if it
Jonathan
was-
Pierce in
if
Two
it-
Popes because I think he made me love Two Popes. Like, he was such a Francis. I think he played Francis. But yeah, what were you
He
saying? Sorry, I
played
didn't
him
mean to cut
so
you off.
well. But I would have thought, honestly, that Leonardo DiCaprio would have come in. In my opinion, he came in third place probably. In that, just because like some of his acting was so wow.
His trailer park scene. It's like, you sound so stupid. And he just like punches.
That was so.
It's like, what were you thinking? You're such an idiot. He's like talking to himself in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's like, you're embarrassing. You're embarrassing yourself. You know who should have been nominated that didn't? Like, this is the one we didn't get a chance to say. I want that little girl from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She deserved that nomination. And those two kids from Jojo Rabbit deserved a nomination in this list. They were all three so good. That little girl
They should have a nomination just for underage actors.
or something like that. Yeah, no, seriously.
I mean,
that boy and his scenes with
she
the
was
girl
amazing in that.
and
Yeah.
the Jewish
Once Upon a
girl.
Time.
Like, I'm like, man, like, there were better roles done by kids this year than I've
Yeah, why don't
ever
they have
seen.
a kids category?
No, and what about
That's a
that
good
kid
point.
in I don't
Honey
like this
Boy.
one. Honey Boy.
He was
Where he's
great.
playing little
Amazing.
Shia LaBeouf.
Noah Jupe could have won like 4 Oscars for all the movies. he's been
That
in
girl
this
from
year.
Doctor Sleep, the African American
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
girl.
She's good.
oh my goodness,
They
her
really should
acting
have an
was
18
so
and
amazing.
under category. Best
Yeah.
actor 18 and
They
under.
should, because we had so, like, I'm not that talented, and these kids are like knocking it out of the park when it comes to acting. I think
And
they
they're still
deserved it.
really, really young.
Right.
They haven't had a whole lot of time to become the greatest.
And
doing
they're
a
still
great
knocking it
job.
out of the park. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, they were like Jojo Rabbit is just those two kids 90% of the movie. It's him talking to his mom, or it's him at the pool or at the camp. It's her coming out and having moments, and
That's it.
you know, like, I feel like I think I want to see that girl again from Jojo Rabbit, the Jewish girl. I want to see that
She
boy
was
again.
great. Yeah, that little boy was amazing. Little
Yeah.
girl was amazing.
Yeah.
I'd watch them in a movie together again.
Yeah.
I bet Wes
wanted-
Anderson will scoop them up.
I hope so.
Yeah,
The French Dispatch looks really
it
good.
does.
I
Sorry.
want the sequel to Doctor Sleep. No,
I don't think you're getting that. That was
No.
it.
Good luck.
no, I know that was it.
I do think somebody said this really beautifully. They said it's a movie that didn't have enough flash. It's a movie about alcoholism. It's about this really great story where what's his name? Ewan McGregor talks about like the only way he could connect to his dad was by drinking because that who his dad was, it was all rage, it was all alcohol, and he felt like he had to drink because he missed his dad.
What movie was
and
that?
Dr. Sleep.
Oh,
And I thought that scene was so out of something you won't see in a scary movie, like a horror movie. And I feel like this, and the reason, and they said it better, it's like a movie like It from Stephen King's is going to get more people to see it because it's monster and it's like, you know, more scary. But it's like,
Suspense.
but the better movie is when Stephen King's does movies like The Shining and Doctor Sleep because they're character studies in fantastic situations, but they're more character driven, they're more story driven. And that is the reason it's going to become a cult classic. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And I think Dr. Sleep deserved a nomination, at least for adapted screenplay, to
Yeah.
take a book and try to combine the movie version and the book version to please both fans, and then
trying
make a
to-
sequel.
And also trying to tie up loose ends from the previous
Right.
disaster.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that takes a lot of hard work, because if you remember the book, The Shining, even though he explodes the furnace in Doctor Sleep and burns it down, that's supposed to happen at the end of first book. Yeah. So they had to incorporate that ending from The Shining into Doctor Sleep while still telling Doctor Sleep's story of Danny as an adult. You know what I'm saying? And it works so freaking well. Anyways, we can talk about movies all day. We should stop because I'm sure you guys are tired of listening to us. But thank you for joining us. We had such a great year with all the movies.
Oh, before we go, biggest Oscar snub of the year?
Sorry. I didn't know you had one too.
Biggest Oscar snub of the year was Peanut Butter Falcon.
Did you see Shia LaBeouf came with that boy in Peanut Butter Falcon and did a nomination?
That's adorable.
Did you
they
see
were
it?
so great. They really should have won an Oscar.
I
should have won an Oscar.
I think a lot of movies like Doctor Sleep, even Honey Boy, like I didn't like it, but
Honey
it was
Boy
a good
should have
movie.
gotten an Oscar.
This year was just so
good
that you could not fit.
No.
2019 really was a fantastic year for movies, and who knows how 2020 is going to be.
But I would have loved to see at least one nomination with Peanut Butter Falcon, because everybody in that was great.
I guarantee that Wonder Woman is going to get at least like 3 nominations.
Visual effects or something.
Visual effects, sound, and I don't know, lead actress probably.
I'm kind of excited. Oh, we didn't get a chance to talk about this. One news story. Movie news. Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey has officially bombed, the first DC movie to bomb in the history of DC films in the last 10 years. Suicide Squad, like all of them have made money, whether people liked it or not. Even, Justice League made over like 700 million, and Batman vs Superman 2. I do think Harley Quinn was a hard movie to make, because you're telling a story about this girl who's the girlfriend of Joker, who now has her own movie, and they're also playing into these smaller characters that are called Birds of Prey, that many people haven't heard of or read the comics. Unless you're like a hardcore comic reader, you probably wouldn't even know who Birds of Prey were.
And probably some of the people who did read the comics didn't like it.
And I also think the name was stupid, like Birds of Prey or the Fabulous something something of Harley Quinn. But this movie should have been just called straight up. Should have been Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey, not Birds of Prey and the Fabulous something of Harley Quinn. The title killed it, because nobody knows who the hell Birds of Prey are. Nobody. No. I just didn't. So I think the marketing was terrible. They should have just been called it Harley Quinn or Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey. So, but, it's going to bomb. But, hey, she's filming for Suicide Squad 2, so we'll see Harley Quinn again.
Sweet. Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah, it's from the director and writer, wait for it, of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, that'll be way better.
I know, right?
Is Chris Pratt in it? No.
I mean, he might have a cameo. I think they said Drax is going to have a cameo in it.
Oh, sweet.
So he's playing a character in Suicide Squad 2. But yeah, it's the writer and director of Suicide...
sounds about right.
For Suicide Squad is the Guardians of the Galaxy. So he's probably going to add a lot of... He'll have a volume 1 for Suicide Squad, I'm guessing.
That would be way better.
Alright, guys. Take care.
Peace out. Go to our Patreon. Drop a couple bucks. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share on all of your social media. Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. You know it all. You know the drill.
Yeah, and check out Parasite. You won't regret it. It's gonna stay with you. You're gonna be thinking about that movie for days and days on end. It really is a great movie.
Months.
If you don't think it should have won Best Picture, really watch it, because you realize, no, the Oscars really did get it right. So yeah, take care, guys. Bye.
Peace.
See you next time.